Welcome to the NetWealth Nest Podcast, the show that helps everyday people build real financial stability, starting from wherever you are. Whether you're working your way out of debt or just starting to save, we're here to help you grow your net wealth to your first big wealth milestone. Each episode, we break down the mindset shifts, practical tools, and real-life actions that can transform your financial future. Thanks for tuning in. Now let's get to work building your NetWealth Nest. Welcome to the NetWealth Nest Podcast. I am your host, Jim LaBeouf. Thanks for joining us for another episode as we work to help you build financial stability as well as increase your net wealth. Uber, DoorDash, freelance gigs, creating things on Fiverr. All these are side hustles and you see these everywhere. You go on Facebook Marketplace and people are making things and selling them, all sorts of stuff. But are these really helping the average person and their financial future? Or are they just draining energy from those individuals day in and day out? Quick stat on this. There are over 30% of Americans that say that they have a side gig, but burnout is also on the rise. Those same individuals that commented they have a side gig, 67% of them say that they are burnt out or feel burnt out. And 1 in 5 say that side hustle actually drains more energy from them than their normal daily 9-to-5 job. And so why are side hustles attractive? There's a couple reasons. First of all, the easiest one to pick out, it's extra income. If you can side hustle and generate some extra income, that might help you do different things, whether it be paying off your debt, whether it be buying things that you're saving for, whether it be investing for your future, any of those things, it can happen. It also gives you some flexibility and control. Think about if you're an Uber driver, you get to decide when you're driving, where you're driving, how long you want to drive, all of those types of things. You can also help you build your skills depending on what your side hustle is. It may put you in opportunities where you're talking to people you might not normally talk to at your 9-to-5 job, helping you build your network. It might put you in situations you might not find yourself in on the day-to-day. And again, helping you build your network, your skills, your expertise over the long haul. Those are all great reasons to have a side hustle, but there is a dark side of it. And there are some trade-offs and hidden costs. We've already talked about burnout a little bit. That is one of them. But let's talk about some other time trade-offs. You're going to have less friends or family time. You're going to potentially get less rest depending on what you are doing as your side hustle and when you're doing it. It could strain your relationship. And we've also seen people comment how it decreased their mental health or just overall mood. The second piece from a financial standpoint is there are some traps depending on what your side hustle is and who you're doing it for, especially if it's a 1099, meaning you're providing a service that somebody might just be cutting you a check and you have to file taxes on that. It's not like a normal 9-to-5 job or a W-2 job where taxes are automatically pulled out. And this can get people in trouble as they think that money that they're taking in is not going to be taxed when they fill out their taxes at the end of the year. It is. And you need to plan for that going forward. So understanding that some of these side hustles might not be pulling out taxes that you're going to need to pay at the end of the year, make sure you have a plan for that if that is the case in the side hustle that you're doing. And then we talked a little bit about it as well, the health burnout aspect of it. Longer hours, there's fatigue, higher stress, which can lead to different things like poor decision making. It can lead to health concerns if you are not sleeping as good or eating as well as you should be. All of those things can add up and be detrimental to your overall livelihood as well as just your bodily well-being. And we want to avoid those things. Building wealth is great, but if you are not in the capacity to actually have good health and use that wealth long-term, what are we talking about here? You should be focusing on making sure that you're not only wealthy from a monetary standpoint, but you're wealthy in all the other aspects of your life too, whether it be your health, whether it be your family, whether it be your mental health. All of those things, it should be a combined effort to execute on all of those fronts. And so most people ask, how do I know? How do I know if this is worth it? I think the first thing to ask is, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again, if you're looking at a side hustle just because you need the extra income, my first question is always to you, do you have a budget and are you tracking your money? If you are, where is that money going and is there anything that you can do currently that will help you balance the equation without needing to pick up a side hustle? Not saying you shouldn't pick up a side hustle, or maybe there are things that you're passionate about that you really would like to do as a side hustle, but If it's purely just monetary based, you really should be starting with a budget and tracking and looking at that first to see if there's anything you can do there without adding in extra labor. Once you have that budget and you're tracking, one of the things I like to ask is if you are going to pick up extra income, what's that going towards? Is it going towards your goal or is it going to lifestyle creep? Many people will pick up a side gig and then that money goes to eating out more often or buying new clothing or electronics or materialistic things. Now, it can be okay if you're looking to buy maybe something material. Maybe you're looking at saving up for a house or a new car. Those types of things might be important for you to do a side hustle. But if you're just doing a side hustle where you're Ubering for multiple hours every evening, and then you go out and blow it on, something you maybe don't care about. Maybe you end up just randomly shopping on Amazon and blowing it on random things. Is that really worth your time, effort, and energy to have that side hustle just so you can do that? Are there better things you could do with that money to help your future self be in a better position than you are now? I think the other thing to think about too is how you're calculating expenses. Some of these gig type jobs require extra things. Uber's the best one to use because you're using your own vehicle typically. So you're paying for gas. You're also accounting for how much time you're doing. You're also putting miles on your vehicle, which over time will lead to more maintenance and your car will be used up quicker the more miles you drive. And so understanding what all those expenses are, and then like we had talked about before, knowing that there's going to be some taxes involved here. Are you calculating that all in? The time you're spending, what is that hourly rate? There are people that I've watched do this and their hourly rate ends up only being a few dollars an hour after they figure it all out because of the amount of money they have to spend on gas or maintenance or other things that they have to do this side hustle. That's probably not worth it. If you're not making a minimum wage in the things you're doing, you really have got to question, is this something you're really passionate about? Maybe you like driving around and maybe it's worth it, even though you're not bringing in a higher wage. But if it's not, you really want to make sure that you're calculating what you're making after all those expenses are paid. The other thing I like to challenge people on is there any way that this does something to your day side job? And what I mean by that is if you were to take that extra time that you're spending on your side hustle and you focus that into your normal, let's just call it a 9-to-5 job or whatever that job is, would there be opportunities for you to promote or progress or make more money at your normal job? You're already involved in that job and you're already doing something. So if there's an opportunity to gain more income through that job without having to do something completely different, it may well be worth investing that extra time and energy and effort into that. Also, the other question is, will splitting your focus degrade that? And will it put you at risk where you're not performing at your full-time job? Most people, when they get a side hustle, they are doing it because they are generating a little bit extra income. They're not trying to necessarily replace their income at their current job. But if it degrades your performance and that is noticed by your current employer, could there be risk where you lose money, maybe either by being demoted or sometimes even let go if you're not maybe showing up on time or you're always tired or your performance isn't where it needs to be? You don't want to put yourself in that position either. So it's really just something you want to think through and make sure you're making the right decision for you and your life and your financial life, as well as all the other things, your health and your family. Make sure you're taking all those actions into account before you go ahead and pull the trigger. One of the last things I want to mention is when I've seen side hustles really work well. And the first thing I find out with people who are executing really well their normal job, but also have a great running side hustle, is they're doing something they're passionate about. And again, we've talked about some of these gig and freelance type works, like whether it be DoorDash or Uber, but there are other things out there that you might do that maybe you're building your own small little business, or you like selling clothing online, or you are moonlighting and doing maybe some service industry type work in the evening. If you have a passion behind those things, whether it's interacting with individuals, buying things and reselling them, or making things, if there's some passion behind it, you're typically going to be more successful versus someone who is just doing it because they need the extra cash in the moment. That's where I've seen people be the most successful, is they're either using skills or passions they already have, or just using their passion and trying to develop a skill because of that passion. Another thing I've seen successfully done with side hustles is having a specific goal fund. We talked a little bit about how sometimes some people will do side hustles to fund their lifestyle on things that maybe aren't necessarily really important to them. Maybe they're just going out to eat a lot and they figure they need more money so they can do that, but it might not be something that is really that important to them. What I've seen work is people have a goal fund where maybe they want to buy a new car or they are trying to fast forward saving the down payment on their house. And typically it's built around speed where they could do it at their job if they really wanted to, but it would take longer to do it. So they figure if I do this side hustle for X amount of time, I can save this much money, it'll help me get to that goal faster. And again, I've seen it typically on bigger purchases like a car or a house where they're looking to maybe make a down payment. And if I need to have $10,000 from down payment on my car, I can do that faster if I'm working my regular job and the side hustle for a certain amount of time. And again, they put that goal or that carrot in front of them. And it also has an expiration where it's once I get to here, I'm good to go. I could have done it without doing this, but I'm going to be able to do it faster now. So that's another example of when having that side hustle can be successful if there are parameters around it. The last piece I want to talk about with being smart around your side hustle, again, and I've revisited this a couple of times throughout this episode, make sure you're thinking about the other aspects that could be impacted by your side hustle. I am talking things like your health, your mental health. What does your family think or your friends? Are you going to be able to spend as much time with them? And if not, how are they impacted by that? And have you had a conversation about that? The same thing with your health. If you're all of a sudden cutting your sleep in half, that is not good long-term for your health. And so those are things you should really take seriously and take into account when you're making this decision. Again, the goal of a side hustle kind of is two things, in my opinion. It's either something where you're building something that you're really passionate about and want to grow long-term. Doesn't necessarily need to be super fast, but it's something you're going to continue to work on. Or you're trying to accelerate a financial goal that you could do already with what you've got going on, but this will allow you to supercharge it and get there faster. That's how I would view side hustles, as working towards those types of goals, not something that's going to burn you out. And so here's my challenge. If you have a side hustle right now, I'd love for you to take a step back. Think about it for a second. Is your lifestyle and maybe some lifestyle creep driving you to do a side hustle? Or do you have a passion or a goal that you're specifically going after? I'd love to hear your comments about that. Leave them below. As always, if this was helpful, please follow our YouTube channel. You can also get us on the podcast player of your choice, whether it be Apple Podcasts or Spotify. But we'd love to hear anything that you have to say about your side hustle and what's worked and what hasn't. Leave us comments. We will reply to all of them. Also, if you have any questions, please let us know in the comment section. We use the questions to help dictate where we're going with more content in the future. So we'd love to hear from you. Thanks for joining today. Appreciate you coming. My name's Jim. Have a great day. Bye. NetWealth Nest LLC and Podcast is an educational platform committed to providing resources and information to empower individuals on their financial journey. Please note, we do not provide financial, tax, or investment advice. All financial decisions should be made in consultation with a qualified professional who understands your unique circumstances. Seeking personalized advice is a smart and necessary step before making any major financial commitments. Thanks so much for joining us today. If you found value in this episode, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, NetWealth Nest, and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. We read every comment, and they help us improve and guide what topics we dive into next. And hey, if something you heard today resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a friend, a family member, a coworker, your barber, your barista, even a stranger in line. You never know who might need this message. Remember, building net wealth is a journey, but you don't have to do it alone. Stick with us, and together, let's grow your net wealth nest.